At brunch, my mom smiled and said, "Pity is the only reason we invite you." That night, I froze every account, locked the dashboard, and filed a cease and desist on the cabin. You know, there are some moments in life that just snap. Moments where you realize you've been living a lie, where the ground gives way beneath you, and you finally see the truth. For me, that moment hit like a punch to the gut when my own mother, Meredith Moore, looked me dead in the eye and said the words that would utterly dismantle my entire world. "Alana, dear, you should be grateful we even invite you to these brunches. Pity goes a long way in this family." I was at Le Jardin, this ridiculously fancy brunch spot in Union Square, where the sidewalk tables are always overflowing with the Sunday crowd. I'd arrived 3 minutes early, like always, my heels clicking a familiar rhythm on the pavement. My charcoal blazer was perfectly adjusted, a shield against the casual chaos of the world. The hostess, bless her heart, knew me by name. "Miss Moore, your father's already seated." Of course he was. My dad, Preston Moore, never waits for anyone, but he'll scroll through his phone for an entire meal without a single glance up. I spotted him in our usual corner booth, hunched over his screen. I slid into the seat, and all I got was a grunt. "Morning, Dad." Another grunt. Then, the air kisses started. That's how you knew Mom was coming. Meredith had stopped 2 tables away, doing her perfectly choreographed dance of greeting society friends. Her laugh, practiced and bright, carried across the dining room. When she finally glided into our booth, she didn't just sit, she arranged herself, smoothing her cream silk blouse before perching delicately on the banquette. She offered me her cheek, smelling faintly of something French and expensive. "Alana." I gave her the dutiful peck. "Mother." The waiter appeared, ever so solicitous. "Good morning, Mr. Moore." "Mrs. Moore." The usual. Dad grunted his assent, still glued to his phone. "And for you, miss?" The miss stung, you know? Like after 3 years of coming here twice a month, I was still just an afterthought. Still a nobody. "Coffee. Black. And the vegetable frittata." Mom wrinkled her nose. "No mimosa, darling?" "It's Sunday. I have work this afternoon." She sighed, like I'd just admitted to something truly scandalous. Just then, we heard it. The roar of an engine. Spencer, my older brother, making his grand entrance. He unfolded himself from a silver Porsche, tossing the keys to the valet with the kind of casual arrogance only someone who's never heard the word no can possess. He strode in 10 minutes late, a huge grin plastered across his face. Sorry. Got held up in Atlantic City. Unbelievable weekend, you guys. I'm talking $5,000 up on blackjack alone." Dad finally looked up from his phone, a rare occurrence. "Good for you, son." Spencer dropped into the seat beside me, practically vibrating with energy. "The suite, they comped me. Dad, you wouldn't believe it. 2 bedrooms, marble, everything." I just sipped my water, silent. So Mom began, folding her hands on the table, her tones suddenly sharper. "Your father and I have been discussing the Tahoe cabin." My shoulders immediately tensed. "The renovation plans are finalized. 1.2 million all in. New kitchen, updated master suite, and we're finally getting rid of that dusty old library. It'll become a proper media room." The words hit me like a bucket of icy water. "The library?" "Oh, Alana, don't be sentimental," Meredith said, waving a dismissive hand. "Those old books are falling apart. Nobody reads them." "I read them," I shot back, my voice tight. "Grandma Claire left that library specifically to me. It's in her will. The cabin is co-owned, remember." Dad finally set his phone down. His voice was flat, bored. "Don't be difficult about sentimentality. We're improving the property value." "I'm not being difficult," I countered, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm stating a legal fact." That's when Meredith's smile tightened, transforming into something predatory. When she spoke again, her voice carried, meant for everyone to hear. "Alana, dear, you should be grateful we even invite you to these brunches. Pity goes a long way in this family." The conversations around us dipped. Heads turned, pretending not to listen, but you could feel the collective gasp. Spencer, beside me, just smirked, his eyes already back on his phone, scrolling through what looked like a casino app. My face burned, but I kept my voice calm steady. "Thank you for your honesty, Mother." She actually blinked, surprised I wasn't arguing. Good, let her wonder. The waiter brought our food, and we ate in strained silence. I meticulously cut my frittata into precise squares, chewing slowly, buying myself time to think. My mind drifted back 2 years, to the awards ceremony where I'd won the 30 under 30 recognition for data science. The banquet hall was packed with tech industry leaders, investors, people who actually understood what I'd built. A senior colleague from Stanford had approached our table, where my parents sat looking vaguely uncomfortable among all the engineers. "Mrs. Moore, you must be so proud. Alana's work in predictive algorithms is groundbreaking." Meredith had smiled, placing her hand dramatically over her heart. "We're just so proud she found a hobby she's good at." Poor thing, she always struggled socially, so this data work is perfect for her. My colleague's smile had frozen. I'd excused myself to the bathroom and stayed there for 15 minutes, just trying to breathe. Poor thing. That phrase, it had followed me my entire life. Back at the table, Spencer was describing some poker hand in excruciating detail. Dad nodded occasionally. Mom checked her reflection in a compact mirror. I was their IT girl, you know? The one who fixed Dad's email password every month. The one who built their entire Preston family office dashboard, integrating investment accounts, property records, tax documents. 8 years of free labor, because I genuinely thought competence would finally earn their respect. I was so wrong. The meal ended. Dad signaled for the check, signed it without a glance. We stood, and Mom kissed her friends goodbye on the way out. Spencer jogged ahead to get a better photo of his Porsche. I walked to my car alone, the San Francisco fog already starting to roll in from the bay. My hands were shaking slightly as I unlocked the door. For 8 years, I truly believed that if I just worked harder, built better systems, made myself indispensable, they would finally see my value. But Meredith's words had stripped away that delusion. Pity. They invited me out of pity. I sat in the driver's seat, not starting the engine. A chilling realization washed over me. My pity for them was the only reason they were protected. My skills, freely given, had shielded them from their own incompetence. Dad wouldn't last a week without my dashboard. Spencer's gambling would have bankrupted him months ago if I hadn't flagged those transactions. The fog pressed against my windshield. I had master administrator access to everything. Every account. Every investment. Every password. Dad had signed the authorization document 5 years ago without even reading it. He just wanted his portfolio updated faster. No more free expertise. I started the car and drove home through the gray afternoon. By tonight, I'd perform my fiduciary duty, protect the assets before I resigned. It was Sunday evening, which meant I had time. They thought I was the poor thing who needed their pity. They had no idea what was coming. That Sunday night, I opened my laptop in my Russian Hill apartment. The city lights glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but I wasn't looking at the view. My grandmother's mahogany desk, the one piece of furniture I'd claimed from her estate, held my MacBook and 3 external monitors. Routine maintenance. That's all this was supposed to be. I pulled up the Preston family office dashboard, the system I'd built from scratch. Investment portfolios, property records, trust accounts, credit card statements. Everything integrated. Everything tracked. Dad called it Alana's magic spreadsheet when he bothered to mention it at all. The transaction history loaded. I was scanning for the usual patterns when a series of withdrawals caught my eye. Spencer's checking account. $50,000 in March. $42,000 in April. $63,000 in May. My pulse quickened. I filtered by merchant category. Atlantic City. Every single one. I opened a secondary screen and mapped the transactions chronologically. The pattern emerged like a rash spreading across skin. 18 months of escalating theft. Not occasional gambling. Systematic looting. I totaled the amounts. $350,000. My hands hovered over the keyboard. This wasn't carelessness. This was addiction. And nobody had noticed because I was the only one who actually read these reports. I switched tabs to the Tahoe property records. The renovation permits Meredith mentioned should be filed with the county by now. There. Submitted 2 weeks ago. Permit applicant, Meredith Moore. Project description, interior remodel including removal of non-load-bearing walls in northeast section. The northeast section. That was the library. I clicked through to the contractor invoices. $180,000 already paid. Deposit cleared last Wednesday from the family trust account. They didn't just talk about it over brunch. They were already doing it. My screen flickered. A red notification box appeared in the corner. High priority security alert. Concurrent user detected. I checked the timestamp. 9:47 p.m. Someone else was logged into the system right now. I pulled up the active sessions panel. Spencer's username. He was in the wire transfer module. $50,000. Pay, Borgata Hotel Casino and Spa. The transaction was sitting in the approval queue, waiting for the nightly batch process at 10 o'clock, 13 minutes from now. My chest tightened. If that transfer went through, it was one more theft I'd enabled by building a system so smooth he didn't even have to think about it. I had a choice. Let it process. Or stop it. Pity goes a long way in this family. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I triggered the emergency backup protocol. The one I'd installed 3 years ago when Dad asked for extra security measures. He signed the authorization. Never read it. Terabytes of data began copying to encrypted external drives. Every transaction. Every email. Every signed document. 8 years of evidence. 9:52 p.m. Preston signed that master administrator agreement 5 years ago. I remembered watching him scrawl his signature, distracted by a phone call, while I explained the emergency powers clause. Yeah, whatever you need. Just make it work. What I need. He'd given me unilateral authority to freeze accounts during suspected fraud or misuse. Spencer's $50,000 wire transfer was misuse. 9:58 p.m. I opened the dual authentication protocol. Every account. Every credit card. Every investment platform. I activated two-factor authentication and changed the master passwords to randomly generated strings 60 characters long. Spencer's transfer failed first. Transaction declined. Authentication required. I removed overdraft protection from all checking accounts. If Spencer was already overdrawn, he'd find out tomorrow morning. The 11 family credit cards took longer. I had to disable each one individually. Amex Platinum. Visa's signature. The Barney's card Meredith used for her wardrobe. All 11 showed red. Status, inactive. The investment accounts were last. I implemented a 72-hour hold on all transactions. No trades. No withdrawals. No transfers. 10:04 p.m. My hands were shaking now. Not from fear. From clarity. This wasn't revenge. This was containment. And consequence. I had a fiduciary duty to protect these assets. The trust my grandmother established named me as co-trustee with Dad, another document he signed without reading. I wasn't stealing. I was stopping the hemorrhaging. I was protecting the family assets from the family. The emotional distance felt strange. Like stepping out of cold water onto warm sand. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to earn their approval. I was doing my job. I opened a new browser tab and navigated to my secure email. Vanessa Hargrove, attorney at law. We'd met 2 years ago at a Women in Tech conference. She'd handed me her card and said, if you ever need someone who understands both family law and financial litigation, call me. I typed the message carefully. Subject, urgent, trust violation, and property dispute. Vanessa, I need your help. Attached is documentation of systematic trust fund theft and unauthorized property modifications. I'm exercising my emergency powers as co-trustee to freeze accounts pending investigation. I need a cease and desist drafted for contractors, county permitting office notification, and litigation prep. Can you meet tomorrow? I attached the financial reports, the contractor invoices, the permit applications. My grandmother's will with the library provision highlighted. Send. 10:31 p.m. My phone sat on the desk, screen dark. By morning, it would explode with notifications. 17 voicemails, 43 texts. But tonight, it stayed silent. I drafted the resignation email to Preston Moore, head of Preston Capital. CC Spencer Moore, Meredith Moore. Subject: Resignation, System Administrator Position. Effective immediately, I am resigning as Legal System Administrator for the Preston Family Office. Security protocols have been updated per the emergency provisions in our signed agreement dated March 2020. All administrative access has been restricted pending resolution of trust compliance issues. Direct all inquiries regarding the Tahoe property to my legal counsel, Vanessa Hargrove. Alana Moore. My cursor hovered over send. They think I'm the poor thing, the grateful daughter who should accept their pity. They built their comfortable lives on my invisible labor. Preston's tech illiteracy masked by my competence. Spencer's addiction funded by accounts I maintained. Meredith's social standing protected by my silence. I clicked send. 11:47 p.m. I powered off my phone. Tomorrow morning, the chaos begins. Preston's Amex would decline at the airport lounge. Spencer's casino markers would be called. Meredith's wire to her interior decorator would bounce. They'd realize too late that the IT girl was never the problem. She was the solution they took for granted. And solutions, once removed, leave very obvious problems behind. The first decline happened at 9 in the morning. Preston's American Express Platinum card, the one he'd carried for 23 years, got rejected at the San Francisco airport lounge. I wasn't there to see it, but I could picture his face. The confusion first, then irritation, then that particular shade of red he turns when confronted. With incompetence. Except this time, the incompetence wasn't someone else's. 15 minutes later, Spencer's casino markers got called in simultaneously. 3 different Atlantic City properties, all demanding immediate payment. The timing wasn't coincidental. His credit lines were structured through the family office accounts, and those accounts no longer recognized his authorization codes. At 9:30, Meredith's standing wire transfer to her interior decorator bounced. She'd been paying Claudette $5,000 monthly for the past 18 months, most of it for the Tahoe renovation that would never happen now. I wondered if Claudette would be the one to tell her, or if the bank would send one of those polite but firm letters about insufficient funds. By 10, my phone had 17 voicemails, all from Spencer. I didn't listen to them. I was sitting in my Russian Hill apartment with my second cup of coffee, watching the fog burn off the bay, and I felt nothing. No guilt. No satisfaction. Just a cool, clean sense of completion, like closing a perfectly balanced spreadsheet. Preston's assistant called at 10:15. I let it go to voicemail, too. The family group text erupted at 10:22. I had notifications silenced, but I checked it anyway, just to see. Spencer, Alana, what the hell did you do? Preston, call me immediately. Meredith, this is outrageous. How dare you embarrass us like this? Spencer, I am serious. Call me now. Preston, I'm contacting our attorneys. I set the phone down and finished my coffee. Wednesday morning arrived with gray skies and the faint smell of rain. Vanessa's office occupied the 42nd floor of a downtown high-rise, all glass and steel, and the kind of quiet that comes from thick carpet and thicker doors. I arrived 10 minutes early, as always, and waited in the conference room she'd reserved. Preston came through the door at exactly 9, flanked by 2 men in suits. I recognized the type immediately. Corporate attorneys, the kind who bill $800 an hour and speak in careful, measured clauses. He didn't greet me, just took the seat directly across the table and folded his hands. Restore access to the accounts. Immediately. Vanessa didn't look up from her notes. Good morning, Mr. Moore. Thank you for coming. I'm not here for pleasantries. I'm here because my daughter has committed theft and sabotage, and I want it corrected before I'm forced to take legal action. I met his eyes. I haven't stolen anything. I've protected assets from ongoing theft. That's absurd. Is it? Vanessa slid a folder across the table. We'd like to discuss Spencer's gambling activity. Specifically, $350,000 in unauthorized withdrawals over the past 18 months. One of Preston's attorneys reached for the folder. His colleague leaned in to read over his shoulder. I watched their expressions shift as they processed the transaction logs, the casino records, the pattern analysis. I'd spent 8 years building systems to track, after all. Preston's jaw tightened. Spencer's personal spending is none of your concern. It is when it's theft from family accounts, Vanessa said. And it becomes very much Alana's concern given her role as master administrator with fiduciary responsibility to protect assets. The second attorney cleared his throat. May I see the authorization document? Vanessa produced it. 3 pages, Preston's signature bold and careless at the bottom. I remembered the day he signed it 5 years ago, barely glancing at the text. He'd been in a hurry to make a tea time. The attorney read slowly. His face went pale. Mr. Moore, this grants unilateral emergency powers to the administrator for asset protection purposes, end quote. What does that mean? Preston's voice had lost its edge. It means she had full legal authority to do exactly what she did. The silence stretched. Outside, a cable car bell clanged in the distance. Rain started tapping against the windows. This is still theft, Preston said, but the certainty had drained from his tone. I leaned forward. I'm proposing an audit. Full forensic accounting of all family office transactions for the past 2 years. We'll examine every withdrawal, every wire transfer, every check. If I've done anything improper, I'll face consequences. But Spencer submits to the same scrutiny. Preston stood. Absolutely not. Then we'll see you in court, Vanessa said pleasantly. I'm sure the discovery process will be enlightening. His attorneys exchanged glances. The first one touched Preston's arm. May we have a moment with our client? They stepped into the hallway. Through the glass wall, I watched them huddle together, voices urgent and low. Preston's face shifted from anger to confusion to something that might be fear. They returned after 8 minutes. We need time to review the documentation, the first attorney said, and to discuss options with our client. Of course, Vanessa said, we're available for further conversation whenever you're ready. Preston walked out without another word. His attorneys followed, carrying copies of everything we'd presented. The door clicked shut with a sound like a vault closing. I exhaled slowly. You did well, Vanessa said. Staying calm. I've had practice. They'll be back, probably with different demands, definitely with a different strategy. But you saw their faces when they read that emergency powers clause. I did. I saw the exact moment they realized Preston had signed away his control without understanding what he was signing. The same carelessness that's defined his parenting had finally come back to bite him. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, my former colleague from the data science firm. Heard you might need a character witness. I'm here if you need me. Another buzz. David, the bank manager I'd worked with for 6 years. Your signatory status is documented and valid. Let me know if you need official confirmation. And another. Marcus from IT Security. I can validate your protective protocols. They're textbook proper. I hadn't asked any of them to reach out. Word must have spread somehow through the professional network I'd spent a decade building, the same network my family dismissed as my data hobby. Thursday evening found me at my kitchen counter, eating takeout pad thai and reviewing emails when my phone lit up with Vanessa's name. He's retained Mitchell Crawford, she said without preamble. I just got the notice. I set down my chopsticks. Crawford, that's the firm that handled the Westfield estate case. Top-tier litigation. He's not messing around, Alana. This means he's preparing to sue. I should have felt anxious, threatened. Instead, I felt something sharp and bright unfurling in my chest. Good, I said. He's taking the bait. Vanessa's laugh was quiet, but genuine. You're really something, you know that? I learned from the best. He taught me to always have a plan. And what's yours? Discovery. He wants to sue me? Perfect. That means subpoenas. Full accounting. Every transaction, every document, every dirty little secret the Preston family office has been hiding. He's so focused on controlling me that he can't see the trap. This could get ugly. It already is ugly. Now we're just making it official. After we hung up, I poured myself a glass of wine and stood at my window. The city lights were starting to glow through the fog. Somewhere out there, Preston was probably sitting with Crawford, outlining his case. painting me as the ungrateful daughter who betrayed the family. Let him. He had no idea how much documentation I had. 8 years of meticulous records, every conversation logged, every authorization saved. I'd been building this fortress without even knowing I'd need it. My phone buzzed one more time. Spencer, I'm checking into rehab. It's bad. I need to talk to you. I stared at the message. The first communication from him that wasn't threatening or demanding. I didn't respond. Not yet. Let him sit with that need for a while longer. Outside, the fog rolled in thick and gray, swallowing the city whole. The email from Vanessa arrived on a Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after our meeting with Preston's lawyers. Subject line, Crawford filed. I was in my apartment, coffee growing cold beside my laptop. I opened the attachment. Mitchell Crawford's name sat at the top of a partition action lawsuit, thick with legal terminology that boiled down to one thing. Preston wanted the Tahoe cabin sold, claimed I'd mismanaged it, demanded the majority share. My phone buzzed. Vanessa's text, call me. I dialed. She answered on the first ring. He's painting you as the problem, she said. Waste and mismanagement, failure to maintain the property, the usual BS when someone wants to force a sale. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the fog rolling past my window. He opened the door. Exactly what I was thinking. Discovery goes both ways. How soon can you file the countermotion? Give me 48 hours. I'll attach your grandmother's will, request full discovery for proper asset valuation. Every document in the Preston family office becomes fair game. Do it. After we hung up, I pulled up the news alert Vanessa forwarded. A local Tahoe newspaper had picked up the story. Tech Dynasty Property Battle screamed the headline, accompanied by a photo of the cabin. The article quoted sources close to the family claiming the dispute involved a difficult daughter unwilling to compromise. Meredith's fingerprints were all over this. My mother had always been a master of the whisper campaign. By noon, she'd have called every woman in her country club circle, spinning the narrative. Poor Preston and Meredith dealing with their ungrateful daughter. All they wanted was to improve the family property. I closed the laptop and finished my coffee. Let them talk. Words won't save them from what's coming. Thursday afternoon, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Alana. The voice was rough, uncertain. Spencer. Where are you calling from? Payphone at the rehab center. They monitor our cells. He paused. I've been here 2 weeks. Clearer now. Thinking straighter. I waited. I'll testify, he said, words tumbling faster. I'll tell you everything. About the offshore accounts in Bermuda, the consulting firm that only exists on paper. Dad's been falsifying tax documents for years, and I've watched him do it. I don't want to be them anymore, Alana. I can't. My pulse quickened, but I kept my voice steady. Why the sudden conscience? Because I finally understand what you did. You didn't destroy the family. You stopped us from destroying ourselves. His breath caught. Just protect me from him. Please. Dad doesn't forgive disloyalty. Send everything you have to Vanessa. Document names, account numbers, anything you remember. I will. I promise. The line went dead. I sat with the phone in my hand, processing. Spencer's cooperation changed the equation entirely. Preston miscalculated, assuming family loyalty would override everything else. He forgot that loyalty requires respect. That evening, my voicemail filled with messages I didn't listen to in real time. I waited until after dinner, pouring a glass of wine before pressing play. Meredith's voice poured through the speaker, saccharine and poisonous. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you, Alana. Truly ashamed. You're destroying our family legacy over a room full of dusty books. Is this really worth it? What happened to the daughter I raised? I saved the recording, date and timestamp preserved. Evidence of harassment if we needed it. The next message was more of the same. Then another. 6 in total, each one escalating from disappointment to anger to barely concealed desperation. I didn't respond. Strategic silence is its own weapon. Vanessa filed the countermotion Friday morning. I read through her work during my lunch break. It was surgical. She welcomed the partition action, requested comprehensive discovery for proper valuation, and attached Grandmother Claire's will with its explicit designation of the library to me. The subpoenas she'd prepared covered every Preston family office record dating back 15 years. The trap wasn't subtle. Anyone with legal training would see it immediately. But Preston had committed when he filed first, and backing out now would look worse than moving forward. By Monday, the cracks started showing. Preston left 3 voicemails, each one tighter than the last. The first asked me to be reasonable. The second threatened consequences for obstruction. The third was silent except for heavy breathing and a muttered curse before he hung up. Meredith stopped calling me directly and started texting extended family members. My phone pinged with messages from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, all variations of "what's going on?" and "can't you work this out?" I responded to none of them. Wednesday afternoon, Vanessa sent me a photo. County inspectors posted a stop work order on the Tahoe cabin. The permit violations had caught up with them. Daily fines were accumulating. The contractors, still unpaid for months, filed preliminary lien notices. The renovation Meredith wanted so badly was hemorrhaging money while sitting frozen. Spencer texted Vanessa directly, "I want out of this family." She forwarded it to me with a single word: leverage. I was reviewing the forensic accountant's preliminary findings when my phone rang. Vanessa, voice tight with controlled excitement. "Crawford knows. He figured out what discovery will expose. And he's scrambling. Called me an hour ago. Fishing for settlement terms. Very casual. Very, perhaps we can resolve this without extensive litigation." I smiled at my reflection in the darkened window. "What did you tell him?" "That my client is perfectly comfortable with the discovery process. That we have nothing to hide and welcome full transparency." "How did he respond?" Dead silence for 10 seconds. Then he said he'd be in touch. After we hung up, I pulled up the evidence files. Spencer's information, combined with my 8 years of documentation, created a devastating picture. Tax evasion, worth $2.3 million. SEC violations and multiple transactions. A systematic pattern of fraud that Crawford's legal obligation required him to report if it came out in discovery. Preston built his empire on competence he didn't have and rules he didn't follow. I was the scaffolding holding it up. And I walked away. Now the whole structure was collapsing. Friday morning, Vanessa called before I'd finished my first coffee. "Crawford wants a meeting." Monday. Neutral location. He specifically requested Preston come without Meredith. A triumphant grin spread across my face. He's ready to settle. He's terrified. This isn't about the cabin anymore. And he knows it. I looked around my apartment, at the life I'd built separate from them. "Set it up. I'll be there." "Alana." Vanessa's voice softened. "You've got him. Whatever happens Monday, remember that." I ended the call and stood at my window, watching San Francisco wake up below me. Somewhere across the city, Preston was realizing his mistake. He thought he could intimidate me into submission with a lawsuit and social pressure. Instead, he handed me the key to everything. Monday couldn't come fast enough. On Monday morning, the conference room at Vanessa's law firm felt like a stage. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Bay Bridge, and the morning light caught the polished walnut table. I sat with my spine straight, hands folded in my lap, watching Preston and Mitchell Crawford enter. Preston wouldn't look at me. He'd aged in these 6 weeks. Gray at his temples, deeper lines around his mouth. Crawford carried a leather briefcase, his suit pressed within an inch of its life. "Let's get this settled," Preston said, dropping into a chair. His voice had an edge I hadn't heard before. Desperation, maybe. 500,000. Cash. Today. I didn't react. Vanessa shifted beside me, pulling out her tablet. "That's remarkably generous," Vanessa said, her tone flat. "Considering your family is, as you put it last week, cash poor." Crawford cleared his throat. "My client is offering a substantial settlement to resolve this matter quickly and quietly." Quickly, I repeated, because of the discovery deadline next Friday. Preston's jaw tightened. "Don't be dramatic, Alana. This is business." My phone buzzed. A text from Meredith to the extended family group chat. Forwarded by my cousin Rachel. Alana's greed is tearing this family apart. She's demanding millions over a property she barely visits. Please call her and talk some sense into her. I turned the screen toward Vanessa. She glanced at it, then made a note. Mr. Moore, Vanessa said. Are you aware your wife is currently conducting a coordinated harassment campaign against my client? Meredith is upset, Preston said. Can you blame her? Her own daughter is extorting the family. The word landed like a slap. Extortion. He was setting up his narrative, testing how it sounded out loud. My phone rang. Aunt Caroline. I declined it. 30 seconds later, Uncle Richard called. Decline. Then Cousin Michael. They'll keep calling, Preston said. Everyone knows what you're doing. Everyone knows what you told them I'm doing, I corrected. There's a difference. Crawford leaned forward. Miss Moore, let's discuss the legal realities of your position. Your emergency powers authorization could be interpreted as a breach of your fiduciary duty, freezing family accounts without proper cause, denying access to legitimate funds. These actions open you to significant liability. Proper cause, Vanessa echoed, like stopping $350,000 in unauthorized gambling withdrawals. We dispute that characterization, Crawford said smoothly. Spencer Moore had implied authorization to access trust funds for personal use. Implied. Vanessa tapped her tablet. Interesting word choice. Preston shifted in his seat. Look, Alana, I know you're angry about the brunch comment. Your mother was out of line, but this has gone too far. Accept the $500,000. We'll restore your system access. You sign a release, and we all move on. Or, I asked, or we proceed with our ethics complaint to the California bar, Crawford said. We'll argue you abused your administrative privileges for personal gain, that you manufactured this crisis to leverage a payout. Vanessa's smile was sharp. Please proceed with that complaint. I'd love to see it. Preston leaned back, trying to regain control. You have 48 hours. After that, the offer drops to $250,000. The ultimatum hung in the air. My phone rang again. This time it was Spencer's number. I stared at it until it stopped. We have a counter-presentation, Vanessa said. She connected her laptop to the projection screen. If you'll indulge us for a few minutes. Crawford exchanged a look with Preston. This is irregular. Humor us, I said. Vanessa clicked to the first slide. Spencer's name appeared at the top, followed by a timeline. Red bars charted withdrawals over 18 months, each one linked to specific Atlantic City casinos. The total at the bottom, $350,000. Slide 1, Vanessa narrated. Spencer Moore's systematic theft from the Preston family trust. Preston's face didn't change, but his hand gripped the armrest. Click. Slide 2 filled the screen. Bank statements, highlighted in yellow. Email timestamps. Preston's signature on quarterly reports I'd prepared, each one noting irregular withdrawal patterns requiring review. Slide 2. Preston Moore's documented knowledge of the theft. 6 months minimum, possibly longer. This is, Crawford started. Please hold your objections until the end, Vanessa said pleasantly. Click. Slide 3 showed offshore account records. Bermuda. Falsified tax documents. Consulting fees that never corresponded to actual consulting work. The figure at the bottom made my stomach drop even though I'd seen it before. $2.3 million in undisclosed foreign assets. Slide 3. Tax evasion. We have documentation of deliberate concealment of foreign accounts, falsified business expense deductions, and unreported income. The IRS would be very interested in this material. Preston's face had gone gray. Actually gray, like old newspaper. Crawford was whispering urgently in his ear, but Preston wasn't listening. He was staring at the screen. Click. Slide 4 listed SEC violations. Stock trades made on insider information, undisclosed conflicts of interest, misrepresentation of fund performance to investors. Each charge followed by potential prison time. Slide 4. Securities fraud. Multiple violations. We estimate between 5 and 7 years of federal prison time if prosecuted. This is extortion, Crawford said, but his voice had lost its confidence. This is evidence, Vanessa corrected, which brings us to slide 5. The final slide showed email chains, Meredith's messages to contractors, all dated before the Tahoe property demolition. Just get it done. I'll handle Preston. We don't need permits for interior work. Start demo on the library this week. Below that, an audio file icon. Vanessa clicked it. Preston's voice filled the room, tinny through the speakers but unmistakable. I don't care how you do it. Just handle it. The timestamp was from 3 years ago. A conversation about withdrawing funds from Spencer's sub-account to cover his gambling debts. Preston knew. Preston authorized it. Preston covered it up. The silence in the conference room was complete. So, Vanessa said, closing her laptop. Let's revisit your settlement offer. $500,000 and a 48-hour deadline. Does that still seem reasonable to you? Crawford was writing furiously on a legal pad, his pen scratching across the paper. Preston finally looked at me. His eyes were hollow. How long have you been planning this? Since the moment Mother called me a pity case, I said. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had broken behind them. Draw up the papers. I'm sorry. Vanessa asked, though we both heard him perfectly. $2 million. Full buyout of the Tahoe share. Mutual non-disclosure. Release of all claims against Alana. And you scrub her admin access after she restores ours. His voice was mechanical. No admission of wrongdoing. Standard settlement language. Crawford touched his arm. Preston? We should discuss. No. Preston stood. We're done. Get it drafted today. I want this finished. He walked out without another word. Crawford gathered his briefcase, his face carefully neutral. I'll have documents to your office by end of business, he said. When they were gone, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The wire transfer will clear before you leave the building, Vanessa said. I'll make sure of it. My phone buzzed. Spencer. Texting from rehab. Thank you for saving me. Another buzz. Meredith's voicemail notification. I played it on speaker. This isn't over, Alana. You think you've won, but you've lost your family. I hope it was worth it. I deleted it. Then I blocked her number. Was it? Vanessa asked quietly. Worth it. I looked out at the bay, at the water glittering in the afternoon sun. The whole thing had ended in 3 hours. Yes, I said. It absolutely was. 6 months after the settlement, I stand in my penthouse kitchen, watching the fog lift over the San Francisco Bay. The view stretches 270 degrees from the Golden Gate to the Bay Bridge. No neighbors. No shared walls. Just glass, sky, and water. The private elevator chimes. My guests are arriving. I smooth my emerald cashmere sweater and walk through the living room. No family photos clutter the shelves. Instead, my 30 Under 30 award sits on a custom pedestal near the window, catching the afternoon light. Art from local galleries covers the walls. My achievements. My choices. My space. The library occupies the entire west wall. Floor-to-ceiling walnut shelves hold Grandma Claire's book collection, relocated from Tahoe and arranged exactly as she kept them. Poetry on the left, classics in the center. Her beloved mysteries on the right. I run my fingers along the spines as I pass. Vanessa Hargrove steps off the elevator first, holding a bottle of wine. This place still takes my breath away. Every single time. I agree. The others follow. Marcus from my consulting firm. Elena, my former Stanford colleague. David and his husband James. 3 women from my support group. 8 people who showed up when it mattered. We gather around my dining table as the Sunday afternoon sun slants through the windows. Same hour as those awful brunches. Different universe. Elena passes the salad bowl. My sister just asked me to plan Thanksgiving again. 3rd year in a row. No offer to help, just an expectation. Marcus laughs. Did you say yes? I said I had plans. Do you? Vanessa asks. Now I do. I'm going to Hawaii. By myself. Everyone cheers. David leans back in his chair. My mother called yesterday, asked if I could just quickly review her tax documents. I told her my rate is $300 an hour, family included. What did she say? I ask. She hung up, then texted that I'd changed. You have, James says, squeezing his husband's hand. For the better. I raise my glass. To boundaries. To boundaries, they echo. Someone mentions the stress of upcoming holidays. The anxiety of forced family dinners. The guilt of saying no. I set down my fork. I see my family every day. You're sitting at my table. The words land in comfortable silence. Elena's eyes shine with tears she doesn't bother hiding. Later, as we clear dishes, Vanessa pulls me aside. Preston Capital sent you a business inquiry last week. I know. You deleted it. Without responding? Without hesitation. I stack plates in the dishwasher. He can afford someone else's expertise now. My phone buzzes. A new client inquiry. A tech startup needs data infrastructure consultation. $500 per hour, 10-hour minimum commitment. I respond with my standard contract language, professional and clear. My worth isn't up for negotiation anymore. That evening, after everyone leaves, I pour myself wine and step onto the balcony. The city lights begin twinkling below. The Bay Bridge gleams against the darkening sky. My therapy journal sits on the side table. I flip back through entries from 6 months ago. Maybe I overreacted. The progression is stark. The self-doubt gradually transforming into clarity. Last week's entry, I saved myself. Spencer visits tomorrow. 6 months sober now. Attending meetings. Rebuilding his life. He called last week to ask if we could have coffee. His voice was different. Clearer. Present. I need to apologize properly, he'd said. Not the bullshit I said at the settlement. A real apology. Okay, I'd told him. I'm listening. We're building something new. Distant but honest. He's no longer the golden child of a toxic system. I'm no longer the scapegoat. We're just two people trying to do better. Preston and Meredith exist somewhere in Palo Alto. I wouldn't know. Complete no contact. Their numbers blocked. Their emails filtered to trash. Their grip on my life severed permanently. My consulting business has 12 regular clients now. I turned down 3 projects last month because they didn't align with my values. That power, that choice, still feels new. I mentor a young woman named Sarah who reached out after hearing me speak at the Women in Tech conference. Her family treats her like their personal IT department while mocking her career. The pattern was painfully familiar. Charge them, I'd told her. Or walk away. Your expertise has value. Charge accordingly. Last week she sent me a message. I walked away. Thank you. I opened my journal to a fresh page and write, Mother said pity was why they included me. She was right about one thing. Pity was involved. My pity for them kept me trapped. Her cruelty was the key that freed me. In trying to diminish me, she revealed my true worth wasn't in their acceptance, but in my own capabilities. Some would call my actions cold. I call them necessary. The family safe was built by my hands. When I finally changed the combination, I locked them out and freed myself. I closed the journal. My phone buzzes again. 2 new client inquiries. I walk into my home office, leaving the past behind on that balcony, dissolving into the San Francisco night where it belongs.